Have you ever had that moment where you're surrounded by people, noise, and responsibilities yet inside? You feel completely lost. You wake up, follow the routine, scroll your phone, attend your work or classes, and still ask yourself quietly, what am I doing with my life? If that question has ever visited your mind, pause for a second, because feeling lost is not a sign that your life is failing. It is often a sign that your life is asking for an upgrade. Feeling lost is often misunderstood as a sign of failure, weakness, or lack of direction. But in reality, it is one of the most honest signals of personal growth. When life is moving smoothly, we rarely stop to question our choices, our values, or the path we are walking on. It is only when uncertainty appears that reflection begins. That discomfort, though unsettling, is not something to escape from. It is an invitation to grow. Many people who later achieve clarity, purpose, and fulfillment can trace their transformation back to a phase where nothing seemed to make sense. That phase was not the end of their progress. It was the beginning of a deeper one. Modern society often promotes the idea that success should follow a straight and predictable path. From a young age, people are taught to have answers quickly, make firm decisions early, and stick to them without hesitation. As a result, feeling lost can trigger shame and self-doubt. Individuals start comparing their behind-the-scenes struggles with others' polished outcomes and assume they are falling behind. However, growth does not operate on a universal timeline. Just as seasons change naturally, periods of clarity and confusion alternate in life. Confusion does not mean you are incapable. It means you are evolving beyond your previous understanding. When a person feels lost, it usually indicates that their old goals, beliefs, or identities no longer align with who they are becoming. The mind recognizes this shift before clarity has fully formed, creating a gap that feels uncomfortable. This gap is often mistaken for failure, but it is actually a transitional space. Growth requires the courage to admit that certain paths no longer fit, even if they once felt right. Letting go of outdated versions of oneself is not regression, it is refinement. Just as a snake must shed its old skin to continue growing, human beings must sometimes release certainty to reach a higher level of awareness. Feeling lost also pushes individuals to ask more meaningful questions. Instead of functioning on autopilot, they begin to reflect on what truly matters to them. Questions like, what gives my life meaning? Or am I living according to my values? Arise not when everything is comfortable, but when something feels misaligned. These questions are not distractions. They are indicators of depth. A person who never feels lost may be moving forward physically but standing still internally. Growth demands introspection, and introspection often begins with uncertainty. Moreover, feeling lost develops emotional maturity and resilience. Navigating uncertainty teaches patience, humility, and trust in the process. It strengthens the ability to sit with discomfort without rushing into decisions driven by fear. In a world that constantly demands immediate answers, learning to remain steady in uncertainty is a powerful skill. Those who allow themselves to move through this phase with awareness often emerge more grounded, self-aware, and authentic. They no longer chase validation or external definitions of success because they have learned to listen inward. It is also important to recognize that growth is rarely visible while it is happening. Just like roots grow underground before a plant breaks the surface, inner development occurs quietly. Feeling lost may look like stagnation from the outside, but internally, priorities are being reshaped, values are being clarified, and strength is being built. What feels like standing still is often preparation for a more aligned direction. The discomfort is not a sign to give up. It is proof that change is underway. Ultimately, feeling lost is not a problem to be solved, but a phase to be understood. It reflects awareness, not inadequacy. It shows that a person is no longer willing to live unconsciously or settle for a life that does not resonate with their deeper self. Growth does not announce itself with confidence and certainty. It often arrives quietly, wrapped in doubt and question. Recognizing this truth transforms the experience of feeling lost from something frightening into something meaningful in moments of confusion or uncertainty. Instinctive response for many people is to act quickly, make immediate decisions, or push themselves harder in the hope that movement alone will create clarity. However, speed without direction often leads to exhaustion rather than progress. Slowing down before moving forward is not a sign of laziness or indecision. It is a strategic and intelligent response to uncertainty. True clarity rarely emerges in chaos. It reveals itself when the mind is given space to breathe, reflect, and realign. The modern world rewards constant activity. Being busy is often mistaken for being productive, and stillness is frequently viewed as wasted time. As a result, individuals feel pressured to always be doing something, even when they are unsure of why they are doing it. This constant motion can drown out intuition and deeper understanding. When life feels unclear, continuing at the same pace only amplifies confusion. Slowing down interrupts this cycle and creates the opportunity to reassess priorities, motivations, and direction. Eighth, honesty and awareness. Slowing down does not mean stopping life entirely or withdrawing from responsibilities. It means becoming more intentional about actions rather than reacting impulsively. It involves creating moments of reflection within daily routines, moments where one can observe thoughts instead of being controlled by them. In this space, patterns become visible. One begins to recognize which choices are driven by fear, which are influenced by external expectations, and which genuinely align with personal values. This awareness is essential for making decisions that are not only effective but sustainable. When the pace of life is reduced, the quality of thinking improves. Mental clarity requires focus, and focus cannot exist in a constantly overstimulated mind. Continuous noise, whether digital, social, or emotional, fragments attention and weakens judgment. Slowing down allows the mind to process experiences fully rather than skipping from one stimulus to the next. With fewer distractions, insights emerge more naturally. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable, and complex problems begin to appear simpler and more structured. Another important aspect of slowing down, emotional regulation. Rapid decision-making during periods of uncertainty often stems from anxiety or fear of falling behind. These emotions, when left unchecked, can lead to choices that provide short-term relief but long-term regret. Slowing down creates a buffer between emotion and act. Ion. It allows individuals to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This pause is powerful because it restores a sense of control and prevents unnecessary mistakes made in moments of emotional intensity. Slowing down also deepens self-trust. When individuals give themselves permission to pause, they communicate self-respect and confidence in their ability to navigate uncertainty. This shift builds internal stability. Instead of seeking constant reassurance from external sources, people begin to rely on their own judgment. Over time, this strengthens decision-making skills and reduces dependence on comparison or approval. Clarity becomes less about finding the perfect answer and more about developing the confidence to choose wisely. Furthermore, slowing down improves perspective. Distance from constant action allows individuals to see the broader picture of their lives rather than getting trapped in immediate pressures. Long-term goals, personal values, and meaningful aspirations regain importance. What once felt urgent may no longer seem essential, and what was overlooked may emerge as significant. This recalibration helps ensure that when momentum is regained, it is directed toward goals that truly matter. Slowing down before speeding up is ultimately an investment in effectiveness. Time spent reflecting is not time lost. It is time saved from pursuing misaligned paths. When clarity is achieved through intentional pause, subsequent actions become more focused, and impactful. Progress accelerates naturally because effort is no longer scattered. Movement guided by clarity carries purpose, confidence, and resilience, making the journey forward not only faster but far more fulfilling. When life feels uncertain, one of the greatest sources of stress comes from trying to manage everything at once. People often attempt to control outcomes, timelines, other people's reactions, future possibilities, believing that complete control will bring peace of mind. In reality, this approach creates frustration and emotional fatigue. The truth is that much of life exists outside personal control, and clarity begins not by mastering everything, but by clearly identifying what can and cannot be influenced. Focusing on what is within one's control is not a limitation, it is a powerful strategy for stability and progress. Uncertainty often amplifies the desire to predict the future. Individuals become consumed by questions about where they should be in 5 or 10 years, whether their choices will lead to success, or how others will judge their decisions. These concerns, while natural, divert attention away from the present moment, the only place where meaningful action is possible. The future is shaped by patterns of behavior repeated over time, not by excessive planning or worry. When attention shifts from uncontrollable outcomes to controllable actions, anxiety decreases and confidence increases. What lies within control is often simpler than expected. Daily effort, attitude, discipline, and consistency are areas where influence is immediate and direct. Choosing how to respond to challenges, how to manage time, and how to treat others are decisions available every day. These choices may seem small, but their cumulative impact is significant. Progress rarely comes from one dramatic decision. It emerges from steady commitment to controllable behaviors. When individuals focus on refining these areas, momentum naturally builds. Attempting to control external circumstances can also lead to emotional exhaustion. People may replay conversations, anticipate negative scenarios, or blame themselves for outcomes they could not have prevented. This mental loop drains energy without producing solutions. Letting go of what cannot be controlled does not mean becoming passive or indifferent. It means redirecting energy toward areas where effort actually produces results. This shift creates a sense of empowerment because progress becomes measurable and tangible. Focusing on controllable factors also encourages responsibility rather than helplessness. When individuals accept that they cannot manage every variable, they free themselves from unrealistic expectations. At the same time, they take ownership of their actions and choices. This balance between acceptance and accountability fosters maturity. Instead of viewing themselves as victims of circumstance, people begin to see themselves as active participants in their own development. And this perspective strengthens resilience and improves problem-solving ability. Another benefit of this approach is increased clarity in decision-making. When overwhelmed by too many possibilities, narrowing focus to what can be done today simplifies choices. Questions shift from what will happen if this fails to what is the most constructive step I can take right now. This practical mindset reduces paralysis and encourages forward movement. Each small action reinforces confidence, making the next decision easier and more deliberate. Consistent attention to controllable actions also builds trust in the process of growth. Results may not appear immediately, but consistent effort creates a foundation that supports long-term success. By concentrating on effort rather than outcome, individuals develop patience and persistence. They learn to measure success by integrity and improvement rather than external validation. Over time, this approach leads to greater emotional balance and inner stability. Focus on what can be controlled ultimately restores a sense of direction during uncertain times. It transforms overwhelming situations into manageable steps and replaces anxiety with purpose. When energy is invested where it truly matters, progress becomes not only possible but sustainable. When life feels unclear or directionless, people often search for dramatic changes or external breakthroughs, believing that motivation or inspiration alone will resolve their confusion. However, clarity is rarely the result of a single moment. It is usually built through structure, consistency, and repeated action. Daily habits play a far more significant role in shaping one's future than occasional bursts of effort. The way time is managed, energy is directed, and attention is disciplined determines the trajectory of life over the long term. Habits function as the invisible framework of everyday life. Whether intentional or unintentional, they influence thoughts, behaviors, and outcomes. When routines are disorganized or driven by impulse, life begins to feel unstable and unfocused. In contrast, structured habits create predictability and control, even during uncertain periods. Simple actions repeated consistently, such as waking up at a fixed time, planning the day, or dedicating time to learning, provide a sense of direction and momentum. These routines anchor the mind and reduce the mental load of constant decision-making. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction, but in reality, it creates freedom. Without discipline, individuals become reactive, responding to distractions and emotions rather than acting with intention. This reactivity leads to inconsistency, which fuels frustration and self-doubt. Discipline, on the other hand, establishes boundaries that protect focus and energy. When habits are aligned with long-term goals, decisions become easier because priorities are already defined. This clarity allows individuals to move forward with confidence rather than hesitation. Habits also shape identity. Repeated actions send a powerful message to the mind about who a person is and what they stand for. Consistently showing up, even in small ways, reinforces self-trust and credibility. Over time, individuals begin to see themselves as disciplined, reliable, and capable. This shift in self-perception is crucial during periods of uncertainty. Confidence grows not from external validation, but from the knowledge that one can depend on their own effort and consistency. When individuals feel lost, motivation is often inconsistent. Waiting for motivation before taking action can result in prolonged stagnation. Habits remove the need for constant motivation by creating systems that function regardless of mood. On days when enthusiasm is low, routine ensures progress continues. This consistency compounds over time, producing results that inspire renewed motivation. In this way, habits do not rely on motivation, they generate it. Poor habits, however, can quietly undermine progress. Excessive screen time, irregular sleep patterns, and lack of structure drain mental clarity and emotional stability. These behaviors may seem harmless in isolation, but collectively they weaken focus and discipline. Replacing even one unproductive habit with a constructive one can significantly improve direction and mental well-being. Small adjustments, sustained over time, often create more change than ambitious but inconsistent plans. Habits also provide a sense of progress, which is essential for maintaining momentum. When individuals can see evidence of daily effort, they experience a sense of accomplishment. This progress may not be immediately visible to others, but it reinforces internal satisfaction. Each completed routine becomes proof of forward movement, even when long-term outcomes remain uncertain. This feeling of progress reduces anxiety and strengthens commitment. Additionally, structured habits create resilience. Life inevitably presents challenges, distractions, and setbacks. Strong routines provide stability during these disruptions. When circumstances become unpredictable, habits offer continuity and control. They allow individuals to return to a familiar rhythm, preventing temporary setbacks from becoming permanent obstacles. Ultimately, habits determine direction more reliably than intentions or desires. While goals define where one wants to go, habits decide whether one gets there. By consciously shaping daily routines, individuals regain control over their lives, even during uncertain times. Discipline does not eliminate confusion instantly, but it steadily replaces it with clarity, confidence, and a sense of purpose through consistent action in time of uncertainty. Many people turn inward with an intense focus on finding their purpose, believing that clarity will arrive once they fully understand themselves. While self-reflection has value, excessive inward searching can deepen confusion rather than resolve it. Purpose is not something that always appears through analysis alone. It often emerges through action, particularly when that action benefits others. Shifting attention from constant self-examination to meaningful contribution creates a powerful change in perspective and brings a sense of direction that introspection alone cannot provide. When individuals become overly focused on finding their purpose, they can unintentionally create pressure and dissatisfaction. They begin to expect a sudden realization or perfect calling, and when it does not arrive, they feel inadequate or behind. This mindset turns purpose into a destination rather than a process. In contrast, serving others removes this pressure. Contribution focuses on what can be done now, not on what must be discovered later. By adding value in small but genuine ways, individuals begin to experience fulfillment without waiting for complete certainty. Serving others also helps break the cycle of self-centered thinking that often accompanies confusion. When life feels unclear, it is easy to become consumed by personal fears, doubts, and unanswered questions. While these emotions are natural, excessive focus on them can create isolation and emotional heaviness. Service redirects attention outward. Helping someone else, even in a simple way, reminds individuals that their presence matters and that they have something valuable to offer. This shift creates emotional relief and restores a sense of us. Fullness. Purpose is closely connected to impact. People often discover what they are good at and what matters to them by observing how their actions affect others. Teaching, supporting, listening, mentoring, or solving problems for someone else provides immediate feedback. This feedback builds awareness and confidence. Over time, patterns begin to form. Individuals notice which activities energize them and which feel draining. This clarity develops organically, without force, through real-life engagement rather than abstract thinking. Another important aspect of service is that it builds connection. Feeling lost is frequently accompanied by a sense of disconnection from people, from meaning, and from direction. Serving others strengthens relationships and fosters a sense of belonging. Human beings are naturally wired for connection, and contribution reinforces that bond. Through service, individuals become part of something larger than themselves, which reduces feelings of isolation and increases emotional stability. Serving also cultivates humility and perspective. When individuals step into roles where they support others, they gain insight into different struggles and realities. This broader perspective often reduces personal anxiety. Problems that once felt overwhelming may begin to feel more manageable when viewed within a wider context. Service does not diminish personal challenges, but it places them in a healthier balance. This perspective encourages gratitude and resilience, both of which are essential for long-term clarity. Importantly, serving others does not require grand gestures or formal roles. Purpose is not limited to large-scale impact. Small, consistent acts of contribution carry significant meaning. Listening attentively, offering guidance, sharing knowledge, or simply being reliable can have lasting effects. These actions reinforce a sense of integrity and self-worth. Over time, they build a reputation of trust and value, which often opens unexpected opportunities and paths. Service also transforms motivation. Instead of acting out of fear, comparison, or pressure, individuals begin to act from a place of responsibility and care. This shift makes effort feel meaningful rather than burdensome. Work becomes more than a task. It becomes an expression of values. Where actions align with contribution, motivation becomes sustainable because it is rooted in meaning rather than external reward. By focusing on creating value, instead of constantly searching for identity, individuals allow purpose to unfold naturally. Clarity develops through engagement, contribution, and consistent effort. Purpose is rarely found in isolation. It is revealed through service, shaped by experience, and strengthened by impact. Periods of uncertainty often create the impression that life is moving in the wrong direction or that progress has come to a halt. When plans fail or outcomes do not align with expectations, it is easy to interpret these moments as rejection or personal inadequacy. However, many of life's setbacks are not indicators of failure but signals of redirection. Trusting the process during these phases requires patience and perspective, yet it is often during these times that the most meaningful growth occurs. Life rarely unfolds in a straight line. Paths change, opportunities shift, and circumstances evolve in ways that cannot always be predicted or controlled. When individuals cling rigidly to a specific outcome, any deviation can feel discouraging. This attachment to a single version of success limits the ability to recognize alternative possibilities. Redirection does not negate effort or intention, it refines them. What appears as a closed door may simply be guiding attention toward a more aligned opportunity that was previously overlooked. Trusting the process involves accepting uncertainty without assuming negative conclusions. It requires the understanding that progress is not always visible in the moment. Many developments occur beneath the surface, shaping skills, character, and perspective. These internal changes are often more valuable than immediate external results. When individuals learn to remain engaged and committed despite uncertainty, they cultivate resilience and adaptability, qualities essential for long-term success. Setbacks also provide clarity by revealing what does not work. Each experience, even those that fall short of expectations, offers insight. This information helps refine decision-making and strengthens judgment. Without these lessons, growth would be shallow and repetitive. Redirection ensures that individuals do not continue down paths that no longer serve their development. Instead of viewing obstacles as barriers, recognizing them as feedback allows for strategic adjustment and renewed focus. Another important aspect of trusting the process is releasing comparison. Observing others' progress can intensify feelings of being left behind, especially during periods of transition. However, every individual's journey is shaped by unique circumstances and timing. Progress measured against external benchmarks often overlooks personal growth and readiness. Trusting the process means honoring one's own timeline and understanding that meaningful success requires preparation. What seems like delay may actually be a period of strengthening foundations. Trust also grows through consistency and effort. While outcomes may remain uncertain, commitment to values, discipline, and integrity provides stability. Focusing on effort rather than immediate results shifts attention to what can be controlled. This approach reduces anxiety and builds confidence. Over time, consistent effort compounds, often leading to opportunities that align more closely with personal strengths and aspirations than original plans. Redirection also fosters humility and openness. When individuals accept that their initial plans may evolve, they become more receptive to learning and growth. This openness allows them to adapt to changing circumstances rather than resist them. Flexibility becomes an asset rather than a weakness. Those who trust the process are better equipped to navigate change because they understand that identity and purpose are not fixed. They develop through experience. Importantly, redirection does not imply passivity. Trusting the process does not mean waiting without action or responsibility. It means engaging fully while remaining open to adjustment, taking thoughtful steps, learning from feedback, and staying aligned with core values create forward movement even when the destination is unclear. This balance between effort and acceptance sustains motivation and clarity. Over time, what once felt like rejection often reveals itself as protection or preparation. Opportunities that did not materialize may have prevented misalignment or burnout. Challenges that caused delay may have built resilience or skills necessary for future success. Recognizing this pattern reinforces trust in the process. Life's redirections are rarely random. They often guide individuals toward paths that support deeper fulfillment and long-term growth. So remember this: Feeling lost does not mean you are broken. It means you are becoming. Pause and listen within. Focus on what you can control and serve with sincerity. Life is not a straight road. It is a journey with turns, pauses, and lessons. Trust that clarity will come not all at once, but step by step. And one day, you'll look back at this phase and realize, I wasn't lost. I was being redirected. Thank you.